which I'm going to do so we can take a look at what that would do if I hit a good one. Now we've hit the driver out there. Now we'll go down and we'll take a look at where that is. The reality though, this hole, with the way it slopes, you really don't need to hit the driver, because when we go down and look at it, we'll see how narrow it is where the lake is. So the risk reward here relative to the hole probably isn't worth it. Now when we're talking about course management, one of the best drills all of you could do for course management, if you just go out and take your favorite club, take a 7-iron or a 6-iron, whatever club you know you can get in the air, control the distance it goes and pretty much where it goes, go out and play 18 holes with that club, your sand wedge, and your putter. What you'll find is you may amaze yourself at the scores that you shoot, because now you're forced into management. Let's say you're 200 yards away from a green and you've got your 7-iron and there's a lake. Well, you can't hit your 7-iron 200 yards, so what are you going to do? Well, you'll find an area to hit to that makes your next shot a lot easier. That's called course management. That's how good players play. Everybody does that at every level. So taking that one club out will really help you. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going clear down to a 5-iron. And the reason I'm going to hit a 5-iron is what that will do with this yardage is it'll get me over the first hill. When the ball gets over the first hill, it'll run down and I'll get down there pretty close to the 150-yard marker, which is really all I need. And the lake is not in play. So this club takes the lake totally out of play. Much easier shot to hit. It's in play. I don't have to worry about where it's going to end up. Now I've got the hole set up for my second shot. Well, here I am. You know, if I had a ball retriever, I guess I could grab that driver out of the lake. Now, I really hit a pretty good drive, and I didn't hit it that far offline, maybe only 5 or 10 yards, but it kicked down into the water. So now I've brought bogey, double bogey, triple bogey into play. So again, this is one of those deals where I tried to hit a shot, and I guess if you were playing match play and you were way down, you might go for it. But the reality is you're better off to play to a safer area where you've got almost a guarantee of not making worse than bogey. So if we come back up here and we walk up here just a little bit further, now it's not a long ways, but because I hit a 5-iron off the tee and I had the slope here, the ball runs down here. Now I've got myself just inside 150 yards. I have a lot of fairway. If I hit that shot 10 times, I wouldn't be out of the fairway. And now I've got a fairly easy shot up to the green. I'm on a flat lie, so I've not taken the risk, but I've put myself in the best possible position. No, I'm not up there 100 yards away, but the reality is the risk wasn't worth what I was going to get out of it. So one, I hit one in the lake. The other, this one, never going to hit this ball in the lake and probably never going to miss the fairway. So when it comes to course management, another game I'd like you to try is when you look at the scorecards, find the widest part of the fairway and figure out the yardage. You can do that and hit to that yardage. Then when you're looking at the green, forget the flag. Don't even look at the flag. If you look at this flag up here, it's way over on the right-hand side, brings the bunkers into play. Most of you, the flag is like it's sitting there going, come on, you're good enough. You see the guys on TV on Sunday go at the flags. Well, the reality is if you just hit at the middle of the green, you're going to hit a lot of shots closer to the flag than you do when you try to hit at the flag. So just play to the middle of the greens. Play to the biggest part of the fairway. Play to the biggest part of the greens. If you'll do that and you'll be disciplined with it, I promise you'll be taking money from your friends while they're in the water or in the trees looking for their golf ball. If you'll do this, you're going to have a lot more fun with the game.
Target strategies and course management. Play to your strengths. Evaluate hole prior to teeing. Play to the widest part of the fairway and green. Play a practice round with your favorite club, sand wedge, and putter. Attempt shots you can execute successfully 6 to 8 times out of 10 on average.
One One of the great things about par threes is that they give us all wonderful risk-reward options. And there is no better example of this than the 12th hole at Augusta National, where that back right hole location has led to the demise of many would-be champions. Jack Nicklaus preferred a safer route between the two bunkers, the higher percentage shot. And I encourage all of you to do that at home. Find the fattest part of the green, the highest percentage shot, and play it. And remember that very few birdies are made outside of 100 yards. One of the dangers of par threes is that, with very few exceptions, all of us can reach the hole in one shot. I say can reach because par threes can be quite troubling and they can be quite intimidating, depending upon whether or not you have to carry the water hazard or a waste bunker or anything else that might keep you from focusing on the task at hand. Now let's listen in as Charlie King gives us his three-step routine that will have all of us hitting more greens on those tricky par threes.
I'm here on a relatively difficult par three. Only difficult because we've got to go over water, and that can be intimidating sometimes. On a golf course, we've got 18 opportunities to tee the ball up, and you should take advantage of all 18, including the par three. So I want you to tee it up, give yourself a perfect lie. Then what I'm going to have you do is we're going to go through a three-step routine. So we're going to go back here, and step one is just standing behind the ball, looking at your distance, looking at the wind conditions that day, knowing how you're playing. Maybe you got your A or your B game, so you got to decide which club you're going to choose. So in this case, I've chosen a 5-iron for the situation. And now, once you've got all that decided, then your second step is you want to come up here and you want to rehearse what you're about to do. You want to give your body a sense and a feel. So we're going to make a swing. And that swing, we want the swing to be very similar, if not exactly the same as what we're about to step up and do. And then the third step, right here, I call this the decision line. So once you cross that line, you've made your decisions and you've got your club, you've got your swing, and you're going to step up and just copy all that, for better or for worse. So now I'm going to go through that, step up, do my physical routine, the waggles and the looks to the target, and then hit the shot. So make sure, use a three-step routine, commit to your shot, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot more success because you're taking all the variables out and you're going to have something that's very consistent.
I couldn't agree with Charlie more on some of the things he said about playing these par three holes. And one of them is pegging the ball on the tee. My neighbor Jack Nicklaus said, when you got a chance to tee it up because it makes it easier. The second thing is when we talked about the idea of using enough club to get it over the water. Now this is actually, for a full shot for me, it's a 6-iron, but I have to hit it perfect. So I'm going to take a 5-iron, just make a good swing, but I don't have to lean on it or force it, and that's important. Just because your buddy hits a 7-iron doesn't mean you have to. You can maybe hit a 5-iron, but you might hit it closer. So consequently, those two things are certainly important. And right now, I'm going to try to use a little visualization here. I put a shaft in the ground to kind of show me the way that I want my swing plane to go, right up that shaft line there, back on the line here, up the shaft line in that direction. But in order to give me another little picture of it, I'm going to take this swing ease, and this is a device that helps you to get rotation in your body. You turn back, you turn through, and the rubber cord here and swings right up the line with the ball, yellow ball on the end of it. Your hand's grip is very light, and you get the feeling of the swing plane going out to the target. So with that kind of rehearsal, I'm going to make that same swing, but I'm going to go one step further. You know who the king of aces is? The one who's made more holes in ones than anybody in the world? Mansell Davis, king of aces. How many? More than Ben Hogan? Ben Hogan never had one in competition. Mansell Davis has made 49 holes in ones. Now, how could he do that? He's a professional, but he's not a tour player. The reason he can do it, in my estimation, is because every time he stands on a par 3 hole, he pictures the ball going in. And when you do that, when you get a positive visual of something in life and in golf, it really helps you to perform it. So we're going through now. I'm looking up my line, taking my grip, aim, and setup. Grip, aim, setup, distance from the ball. I'm looking up the plane right there, and I'm watching the ball go in the hole. And here we go. There we are. Just as exactly as we planned it, even up the line so well that we put it right on that shaft. And that's how you play par threes better.
Par 3 tactics. Always tee your ball. Utilize 3-step routine. Take enough club to easily carry trouble. Picture your ball going into the hole.
How can you love something 1 minute and hate it the next? I'm talking about fades and draws, hooks and slices. And I'm sure whether you hit one or the other, you just wish you could hit it straight. And then on the very next hole, when you come to a dogleg, you would give anything to shape it in the appropriate manner. So what's it gonna be? Are you gonna hate those fades and draws or love them? Gary and Mike tackle these tough shots, tell us how they happen and how to fix them. And I guarantee using the techniques that we're about to reveal, the next time you go to the range could change your game forever. And when you understand the secrets to hitting these shots whenever you want, you're gonna love being able to control the ball flight.
In order to develop accuracy in your golf game, it's important to be able to understand the principles of shot shape. I mean, after all, you have to control your ball in order to control the score, and if you understand what causes the shot shape, whether it's straight or draw, fade or slice, you'll be able to improve your game and improve your accuracy. Now, the black portion here where the club face is represents the face position. The other position is the path, the red right here. Now, when the club face is open to the path, you'll always get a slice, either a fade for a small amount, or if it's open a lot, it'll be a big slice. Whenever it starts to close a little, it'd be a draw, and a big closing would be a hook. Now, if your problem happens to be a hook in golf, I'm going to demonstrate some things, the causative factors, and then some things you can do also to be, not only to be able to stop it, but to produce it when you would like to. We're going to show you some of those things right now, and they start with grip. Good golf starts with a good grip. Ben Hogan has spoken. When your hands rotate too far underneath the club so that if someone were to pull it away from you when you had it towards your stomach and pull your arms to extension, you can see how much the club face is closed. Another way to show it is by to say this: if your hands are rotated this way, you put them on the club too far over on the top, and then you say, let your hands and arms relax to their natural position. How that's natural. Now the club face is open. Just the opposite would be this way if my hands rotated underneath and I said, now relax your hands. Again, the club face goes to close. So if you're hitting lots of hooks, the first place you look is at the grip. And the grip position should be such that your hands come from a natural hanging position this way and simply place them on the club. Now, if I take them off, watch my hands, they just hang in their natural position like this. I'll bring them again in, take them apart, off, they're in their natural position. If they were incorrect, it would look like this. My right hand comes off, look where it's hanging. I say relax, there, it's turned that much, and that means it can influence the club face tremendously. Now, another way you can check yourself is if you just place a little T right here in the notch between your thumb and index finger in both of your hands, right there. And if those two T's match up in this fashion and come somewhere between your chin and your right shoulder, then you have your hands rotated in the correct position. You see the hook again, your T's would point way to the outside of your right shoulder. So in curing the hook, there are two things that you do. One is, first of all, you check your positions. Grip position first. The second position you check is as you take your club back to the top of the swing, if your back of your left hand arches in this fashion. That shuts the face. Right now, the face is in a shut position at the top. If I were to bring it forward like this, you can see how shut that was. So you can have a good grip, but if you go to the top of your backswing, and when you go to the top of your backswing, you shut the face, you still are going to be hitting hooks. The third reason, and most primary reason of hitting hooks, is deceleration of the left arm. Now, if I make a good swing and I come to the bottom, my shaft lines up again with my left arm. But if my left arm slows down too much and my right hand catches up, it can catch up actually for two reasons: deceleration of the left, or trying to overpower with the right. And when it comes to the ball, the face looks like this again. The club face is shut. Now, a shut club face is always going to produce a hooking ball. Even if your path is out to the right, it may start a little to the right, but it'll hook back to the left. So the hook comes primarily from club face position, influenced not as much, but somewhat by the path as well. So that's what makes the ball spin. So a shot that comes off with a hook comes this way. A shot that comes off with a slice comes this way, just the opposite. Now, we're going to show you also, if you want to hit shots that are intentional draws or hooks, and even intentional fades or slices, I'm going to show you two ways to do it. One, let's just have a kind of a little bit of fun here with a piece of sporting equipment that you're quite used to, a ping pong paddle. I'm going to take a top spin backhand shot. There we go. See what's happening? The paddle is turning over. You see the black part, you see the red part. My left hand turned over, my left arm rotated, and my left arm stayed against my side. That's how you close the club face. Now, when we want to open it or fade it or slice it even, the left arm would leave and you'd see the black all the way. There is no rotation here. It stays with the back of the hand facing the sky rather than the palm of the hand facing the sky. So that's one way that you can work the ball, either with a draw, fade, slice, or hook. Now, what we also can do is we can pre-shape it. Right? That's a motion that you're doing there, but you can pre-shape it by doing this. If you would think of it in a, oh, maybe a Scotsman might say, if you want to hitch a ride to heaven, that's how you do it. Now, what was that? If you want to hitch a ride to heaven, this is how you do it. You get your thumb facing to the sky. That's how you're hitching the ride. So if you wanted to hit a straight ball, you see that's going to heaven. You want to hit a straight ball, when you get to this part of your swing, that's where your thumb's going to face. Now, if I wanted to hit a draw, what I would do is I would take my left arm and left hand out here, and I would turn it over, not to 12 o'clock, but to 10 o'clock. Left arm in, thumb facing 10 o'clock over here, and I would hold the club there for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That, when I swing to that position now in my golf swing, right through to that position, I will get a draw or hook. If I want to fade the ball or slice it a bit, I'd have my thumb pointing at 2 o'clock out here. Now my left arm's leaving my side, my thumb's pointing at 2. I hold the club. This is pre-shaping. See, I'm doing this before I hit the ball. There's pointing at 2 o'clock. Now I swing through that position and the ball will go out, turn left to right for a right-handed player, and you've got a fade or a slice. That might also help you to understand why you are slicing or hooking, because you might be doing one of those two things. Now I'd like to demonstrate for you a low shot, the principle of how to keep the ball low, and also show you an intentional low and draw both. So, hitting a ball low. One of the ways that we can do it as far as understanding the principle is the relationship of this end to that end, the top to the bottom. Whenever the grip end is farther forward, you're going to de-loft the club face. When it's farther back, you're going to add loft. So I want a lower shot with an iron. I can play the ball back farther in my stance. That tilts the shaft forward. If I have the ball farther forward, it tilts the shaft backward. So one of the simplest ways is simply angling the grip end of the club forward to hit it low. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you now In teeing a ball lower, obviously you have a better chance to hit the ball low, so a low tee position gives you that opportunity. But I'm going to show you a slightly different one. I'm going to actually tee the ball high here. That gives me a more level swing as opposed to a swing with more descent. When you hit with more descent, you put more backspin on the ball, and that causes it to rise. So I'm going to hit one from a lower level swing, a level swing here, and I'm just going to suspend my club a little bit in the air above the ball like I'm going to try to hit it slightly above its center. And then I said advance the club head, keeping the club head back, advance the hands forward so the shaft is now tilted toward the target. So here we go, low tee shot, just like I were playing in Scotland. There we are. So there you have it, shaping your shots. You learn to shape your shots, you're going to learn to control your ball, and that's going to control your score.
Now we're going to talk about some tips or some drills to help you fix your slice or control the trajectory that you hit the golf ball on. Everybody wants to fix something, but it's knowing what to fix and how to do it. The biggest problem most people have, is slicing the golf ball. So that's the one we're going to go at first. When it comes to a slice, obviously we know that the reason that you slice the golf ball is because when the club face runs into the ball, the face is wide open. So that puts side spin, makes the ball slice. The question becomes, how do we fix that club face? Well, the simplest fix is to take a look at where your grip is. The first thing, most people tend to grip the club too much in the palm of their left hand, and their left hand is rotated too much to the left. So what happens when they come into the ball and the club elongates their arm and it goes back to where it hangs natural, the face is wide open. So what happens with most people, then they try to fix that by rotating their shoulders or their body. If you would just first make sure the club is more in your fingers, and then when you put your left hand, fold it down on top of the club and put your left thumb just on the side of the shaft, not on top. Put it just on the side. If you get your left hand on there correctly, now your right hand comes in and your right palm goes right up against the back of your left thumb, and your right palm is facing the target. Don't get your right hand on top where your palm is facing over to the left, because its role is to pressure that shaft right into the back of the ball. So if the left hand's on there where you can square the face easier, and your right hand's on there where you can support the shaft, now when you make a swing, now you've got a good chance of squaring the club face on the ball. That's the first and probably the easiest fix. The next fix for slice becomes, we talked about the body moving too quick. And what you see with a lot of people is they get back and they push off their right leg and they twist like this and they're falling all over the place. Well, that's an attempt to push off the ground and help the club face with your body. Well, if you do that, it's going to be very difficult, because when your body jumps and takes off, the face is way behind, then you try to fall back to hit it. That's what you see most people doing. They jump and they fall back and try to hit. So a good drill to help to calm that down, you get set up, then you drop your right foot back so that your right toe is just behind your left heel, or maybe even a little further. Then we're going to make a swing and we're going to hit the ball, and your right heel has to stay on the ground until after you've gone past the ball. Now I can keep mine down. If you can just keep yours there until after you hit it, it'll slow your chest and your body down. It'll make it a lot easier for you to get your arms to accelerate past you. So it looks like this. If you've done those two and you're still struggling a little bit, the next thing becomes, how do you get that club head to the ball? One of the biggest misconceptions in golf is that you get to the top and you pull down with this left hand. That's a feeling that a lot of good players have, but the reality is, from the top of your swing, as you start down, you want to turn that club face and that club head into the ball. So you get to the top and you want to take that club face and turn it out and down to the ball. So we're going to do that now. Now once you've done that, now we've covered two or three areas that are really big relative to how the face works. One was what you do with your grip. Two, how you release the club. Three is what your body does to sink it out with your arms. So if you go through those three, I'm sure you'll find one of them that'll really help you with straightening out the curve on the ball. Now we want to talk about trajectory. If you want to hit the ball higher, what you want to do is a couple of things. One, you can move a little further away from the ball, so now the club's going to come in on a shallower angle. Two, you can move the ball a little further forward in your stance, because that then adds loft to the club face. So if I want to hit it higher, moving away, adding a little loft, that helps me hit the ball a lot higher. If you work on those two or three tips and combine the three, work on first getting the curve you want, then work on the trajectory. Now, a lot of people, what they want in golf, they want to hit just that little fade or just that little draw. After being around Jack Nicklaus now for about 20 some odd years, one thing he does, now this is the best player, so you might take this to heat. Once you get a certain pattern going, if you just set the club face a little bit different, so if you want to hit a little more fade, set the face a little more open to start with, then take your grip, make your normal swing. If you want to hit a little more draw or not as much fade, set the face a little more closed. Use those little adjustments with the club face and the ball position before you try to make major changes in your swing. Most people don't have time for that. So start with the little changes. If they don't work, then we've got to go to some bigger changes. I know if you'll do those, practice them just a little bit, I think you'll find the ball flight and the distance you want and the accuracy.
Ball flight, cures for hooks and slices. Hooks come from a closed club face. Proper grip should come from hands at natural hanging position. To promote draws, turn over lead hand. Angle grip end of club forward at address to promote lower shots. Slices come from open face at impact. For proper grip, ensure your club is in the fingers of your lead hand. Practice shots by placing right foot back in stance after setup. To promote fades, address club head slightly open and make normal swing. To achieve higher ball flight, move slightly away and play ball forward in stance.
Gotta believe one of the biggest hurdles in teaching is getting your students to understand cause and effect. Now, Dr. Gary Wiring, earlier in this video, talked about the club face at impact, but in this room, you can give your players, your students, exact measurements to make the changes they need.
Yes, here in the PGA Learning Center Technology Room, we can measure path of the club, club face angle, descending angle of the club, where on the ball the club hit, the launch angle of the ball, the speed of the ball, so we get all the information on the swing. And then what happens is players can understand how much or how little they had to change in order to change the flight of the ball.
Without being influenced by trying to hit good shots out on the range. Having said all that, I'm going to try and hit one of the hardest shots in golf to hit, the straight shot, right now.
All right.
Here we go. Rick, I wouldn't put a lot of money on myself hitting this shot very often, but this is the hardest shot to hit by many people's account, the straight shot.
And straight is because the path was perfectly square and the face was open less than half a degree. So it was perfectly straight to your eye. It fell just the tiniest bit to the right. We see that you hit the ball in the center of the club face again, which you do repeatedly, and with a slightly descending angle. So that caused the ball to fly almost dead straight.
A little bit of luck involved here pulling off the straight shot. Now let's go hit a shot that, as I mentioned earlier, you see way too often, that big slice.
Well, you'd have to work to do it.
Keep the club face open.
That should do it.
Obviously, I didn't square the club face up right here, and that's why we got a big slice.
And this is the classic slice. The path is slightly across, starting the ball a little left. The face is wide open, overriding the path and sending the ball way to the right. You still hit it in the center of the club face, so you got good distance, but there was so much side spin, it cost you a lot of yardage, and you're in the right rough hunting for it.
Sometimes a big antidote for that slice is to try and do the opposite thing. hit the big hook. Let's
Well,
go try to
hit
hit
one.
that. You got it. That was hooking. It's a little bit harder for me to hit a big hook, but prerequisite, I'm sure, is a big inside-out path, and we got that right here, didn't we?
Yes, and this was the opposite to your slice. The path is 4 degrees inside because you shut your body much more and swung from the inside. Your club face is almost square. So what you hit here was a path hook which started out to the right and curved back to the target, giving you very solid contact and a lot of distance. Also, the ball's going lower because the face is closing much more as it goes through the ball. So this would get you to the back left pin or to the back left side of the green, and it would also get you more distance.
Rick, they say the proof is in the pudding, and I'm sure these numbers don't lie. Now, we have hit a straight shot, a big slice, and a big hook, but the trick, I'm sure, that you want to achieve, and I certainly want to do, is turn that slice into a fade and turn that hook into a draw.
And obviously, the very first thing in your case, it wasn't a problem, is you've got to hit the ball in the middle of the club face. If you're not hitting the ball in the middle of the club face, fix that first. Once we're hitting it in the middle of the club face, we look at the path of the swing. And most paths are fairly repetitive. Then we match the amount the club face is open or closed to that path for what we want the golf ball to do. So by adjusting the club face, and hopefully we can do it during the address position or the grip, we can change the flight of the golf ball.
So we can rein these big slices in, get a more manageable fade. Let's try and hit one.
All right.
Rick, there are some things that we can do at address that will allow us to control our golf shots. What are some examples?
Well, path, of course, is the easiest one to change at address. Since Gary's already talked to you about grip, let's talk about address posture,
Okey-doke.
how it controls path. When you get set, what we see the good players, good ball strikers do is their body is approximately square to the target line, their shoulder line. Now, if you were going to hit a slice, you would probably have your right shoulder closer to the ball, and the line across your shoulders would be open, as opposed to someone that's hitting the ball from the inside and drawing it more will have a path that's aimed much more to the right with their body. By squaring up your path and making it match your club face, we can control the flight of the ball.
I'm trying to hit it just a little fade here, so I'll have my shoulders just a little bit left, and we'll try and rein in that nasty slice that we were talking about. Rick, this is the shot that I love to hit, just a slight fade, and what I see right here is that you really are not coming that far across it, and the club face is not really that open, is it?
No, it's a combination of your path is 2 degrees open, your club face is 1 degree open, which is just slightly falling left to right. You got it in the center, the descending angle was correct, so that caused you to hit a very solid ball that fell from left to right at the top of its arc. Knowing that your fade is your normal favorite shot, let's see you make adjustments to hit that little draw.
Bit of a challenge for me, but like you said, I'm gonna close my shoulders a little bit and strengthen my grip. We'll give it a go. Rick, it is important to have a go-to shot, but it's equally important to be able to work the ball in every direction. We were trying to hit a little draw right here. We did it with a slightly in-to-out path, and yet my club face was still open. How do you do that?
Well, you changed your address position and kept your body back, so you didn't rotate as fast with the club face, but your path was more from inside. So the ball was struck on the inside, squared up, and started just right at the target and came back. Didn't come back as much as you might have liked, which would have been the club face. But you hit it in the center, the path was good, and we like that. You were able to make adjustments in your address position, and if you had adjusted the grip more, the club face would have been shut more. So as a player, you learn to make adjustments to hit all of the different shots. And for you as a player, find your local PGA professional on PGA.com and let them help you make adjustments to all the different shots you want to hit.
Technology, club head face at impact. Try adjusting your body position at address to help achieve your desired ball flight. For left to right ball flight, place right shoulder closer to the ball, with shoulders more open. For right to left ball flight, place left shoulder closer to the ball, with shoulders more closed. See your local PGA professional for adjustments to hit all your desired shots.
Well, you have the perfect tee time at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to plan to get there early enough to warm up. Oh, sometimes even an hour ahead of time would be great, because then you can do the putting and the bunker play and all the rest. But even 30 minutes would help. However, a lot of times things happen in your life. The interstate was crowded, too many phone calls just before you wanted to leave, somebody comes over the house, and you get to the golf course at 10 minutes to 10, not enough time to go to the range and warm up. So what do? Well, I'm going to show you, because you're just going to have time to get your shoes on, get your clubs, and get to the tee, and you're going to be up in a couple of minutes. This is called a no-ball warm-up. Now, what happens so often is people just take their driver out of the bag, they've gotten to the tee, you're on the tee now, they want to take a swing at a cigarette butt or a dandelion or something like that, and they say, all right, what are we playing for? Well, that's not good enough, because your muscles, tendons, and ligaments aren't ready to move. You need to do some kind of stretching and a little bit of motion to get yourself ready to hit that first good tee shot. And I'm going to show you in the no-ball warm-up how to do that. First, you start with your two wedges, your two heaviest clubs in your bag. We're going to swing these from the right side to the left side, going from hip height right here, just small at first, using your small muscles, your arms and hands, letting the clubs be very light. Notice where the clubs are going here. They're going up to pointing to the sky in the backswing, and right here they're pointing to the sky in the through swing. That shows that my hands are relaxed, not tight. Back and through. And I'm just taking a kind of a baseball grip around the clubs to do this. Now I'm going to shoulder height, a little farther through, so a little more stretching here, a little more stretching. Now I'm going to pick up the speed and go more into a full swing. Picking up the speed, there we go. Back, right foot to left foot. The footwork's very important here, that you go over the right side and then over the left side. Now, when you pick up your driver, which sometimes feels heavy for you when you start the day, now it feels like a light feather. It just almost floats away, because those were so much heavier. That's important, because if something feels light, you don't squeeze it tightly, you grip it lightly. And that is important to get speed in the golf swing. Now the next part of the no-ball warm-up is to put the club behind your back this way, in your elbows, so that you turn back and turn through. You turn back and turn through, stretching the lower part of your back. Now we're going to put it up over the back of our head. This time it's going to go this way. Over the back, stretching, pulling it down, turn back, turn through, turn back, turn through, and now drop it from there so your thumbs are hooked over. Raise it high in the air. Don't hurt yourself now, but just enough so you can feel a good stretch.